I was going the right way, but and then from Canada we ended up on the West Coast. So that's kind of where my family came from. So anyway, okay. So this is where I spent most of my younger life, is in Fresno.
I recognize all those places.
Yes. So we know Fresno, the first McDonald's, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And when I go to Fresno and visit family, I always stop here because I love it. You guys recognize this?
Storyland.
Storyland.
It's just reopened.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they redid it. It's reopened.
So I love Storyland at Roding Park. We used to go a lot as kids. We had the little magic keys we put in, and it would play the little audio. Of course, lots of grapes and almond trees and peaches. We grew everything growing up. We lived in a little tiny house, had one income, and so we grew everything in the backyard. We had little vineyards, we had squash, we had trees, peach apple trees, and just kind of, so there were some good things around Fresno. Let's see, where do I go next? So these are kind of, because we lived in Fresno, we had like 3 national parks. And one thing that worked to our advantage is I had a set of grandparents who worked for the Forest Service. And so they were up in the Sierras all the time. In fact, my grandmother worked on this like fire tower on top of the...
Did you hear that?
No.
She said she was a bear.
Dan.
No.
Oh, there's
Smokey the Bear. That was my right. But because they lived up there, and my grandfather was in forest management, we spent a lot of time in the Sierras. So I'm sure again, Kate and you guys recognize some of these places. So any idea where this is? Art?
Is that is it Bestwick?
Shaver Lake.
Shaver Lake. Okay.
Shaver Lake. And then right across from Shaver Lake, down about 14 miles, is a place called Dinky Creek.
Yeah.
If you ever went to camp, it has like an incredible campground. So on Dinky Creek, this is called the Slick. So if you live in the area, you can go up here and slide down this group of rocks. This is called Honeymooner's Pool, which is very famous as well. So, so those are just kind of, and Yosemite, of course. We went to Yosemite all the time, right? Especially to ski at Badger Pass, which was the first ski resort in California, right? So there are some good things about Fresno, and so you can see that we did a lot of outdoorsy type stuff growing up. Okay, so this is the part that I really dread. It's showing you pictures of what I looked like growing up, okay?
Thank
If
you.
you want to cover your eyes, it's okay, or turn your chair down.
My sister's cut my baby.
Are you ready? Okay, I'm dreading this, but here we go. Okay.
Aww.
Yeah, so there I am on a swing set. So I had one brother, that's Mike. All right. He works in Clovis Unified.
Really?
Yeah. That's playing basketball in high school. Yeah. Love those shorts, huh? I remember correctly, somebody else had, was it you, Art? Somebody had shorts like that. Maybe it was David. And one of his.
Not in one of my pictures, no.
And then a senior picture. Yes. So you can see where the blue comes from. Sure.
Which high school?
In Reedley.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we're moving to 80s and stuff, right? So during the 80s, I literally was in school at San Diego State the whole decade, okay? I took a long time. I took like 6 years to get my bachelor. So part of the problem was that I was always naturally curious, and I had this predisposition to science and engineering, so I actually entered San Diego State as an aerospace engineer major, right?
Wow.
So after about a year, I changed that. And I just had too many interests. I was just like interested in pre-med. I was interested in athletics because I grew up, playing athletics. And so what I ended up doing in '86 is graduating with a degree. And you're probably wondering how did I end up in education with this degree, but in sports medicine, right, with a minor in bioengineering. And then I made a decision. I'll talk about this a little bit later about going to education. I had 2 tracks. I was looking at graduate school at Texas A&M in bioengineering, and I was looking at education. So it probably seems really eclectic, but I literally spent the 80s with a degree, a credential, and then a master's degree at the state. Anybody else here go to San Diego State?
Aztec too.
Aztec too. Aztec Vermont. Okay, so this is the 80s. This is during the decade I was in school. You can see San Diego State up there in the left. And so I had, I was spent some time in the Marine Corps. I did some, I was in a fraternity. And Melissa, I was trying to match, kind of you do everything in terms of anything that seems like it's like crazy. So I just want to let you know that here I am skydiving. Here I am here, right? And water skiing. But I did quit water skiing when I had a really bad incident. This is on the Delta, I believe, and my swim trunks disintegrated. And just, see, so. So part of me, of who I am, is I tend to use the same things over and over again. So I have a car that has like 300,000 miles on it. And so I wear clothes to wear out.
Or disintegrate.
Which has happened recently.
So anyway, so I stopped water skiing. I'm right here. And I don't know if Jan recognizes these. These are two from Fremont.
Oh, I do actually. Oh my gosh. They're what? We have friends in common.
We have a friend. Okay, so that was kind of the 80s in terms of going to school. So before I go, well, yeah, I'll just keep going. So Dan's family. So my family now, and I have to say that I'm fairly flawed. Julie will attest to that. So my wife makes up for everything, so it's just like the opposite of everything you see in front of you, right? Yeah. So here's my family. This is like our only formal picture we did the whole time. So that's my wife there, Joan, and then Rebecca, Josh. We had an Australian Shepherd and a Corgi. That's my daughter when she was playing bobby sox. That's my daughter now. She's going to do her student teaching next year in Seattle. That's my son. He was a big baseball type guy, and he actually signed to play baseball at Sonoma State. He ended up changing his mind after a couple of years, so now he's at Chico State studying civil engineering. So, and then this is a picture at Disneyland. So again, my wife. This is when we were younger. So.
Dan, I've been keeping track. You just passed Kate in Oz, and you're approaching David, and you may overtake actually Maria Elena if you. Congratulations.
Just one thing about my wife, Joan. She teaches high school at Henry High School, which is a mile from our house. So she teaches special education, and she co-teaches integrated math too. So she's been teaching for quite a while. So I didn't have an updated picture of my son. It's like you never hear from him unless they need money or something.
That's normal.
What?
Yeah.
Very normal. Yeah, my daughter's much more connected, of course. But anyway. Okay, career and current work. All right. So let's talk about. So I wanted this slide to kind of represent two things. One, why I got into education, and then around kind of the experiences I've had. So I made a decision to go in education. I really felt like I wanted to be a positive force for students. And so I would start off as a high school and middle school teacher. And so I not only worked in schools with kids, but I worked in youth organizations, I worked in athletic organizations. And so that's a picture of a group of kids on top of Crystal Light in Colorado. So you guys, has anybody climbed that before? It's like around 12,000 feet. But it's a lot of fun. This is a picture from camp, getting like totally into the mud. This is an example of, I coached for probably around 20 years, both at the high school level and then in terms of youth athletics. And then I started off teaching at the high school level. I then went to elementary level, and then I went to the district office level. And so just to give you an example, we start here. Hazeltine School is a private placement for students with emotional disabilities. So I taught here. My first vice principalship was at Sandburg Elementary School. I had a principalship at Walker Elementary School, which is in Mira Mesa. Before that, I taught at Mira Mesa High School, chemistry and biology. Then I went to the district office after being an administrator and directed the Ed Tech program, an online learning program for San Diego Unified. So with that, did a lot of work in 2003, 4, 5, 6, actually 2006, 7, 8, 9 on one-to-one laptop computing. So these are pictures of kids who were in our laptop computing programs. I got the opportunity to help to open some middle schools in terms of thinking about college and career pathways and how we could do something differently at the middle school level. And then I had an opportunity to develop and open a what I would call a virtual academy, high, for the high school level. It uses like a blended learning type of formats. An atypical school has about 1,000 kids enrolled in it. Let's see, is there anything else? Does that give you a flavor? Mm-hmm. Okay, so. So this is a picture. I coached for 6 years at Helix High School in San Diego, which is part of the Rosemont district. So this is one of my basketball teams. You can see I look nice and thin and relaxed. I did not have a blue shirt on it, but I had a blue tie. So. Well, anyway, I really enjoyed coaching at the high school level and continuing on into youth sports. But that was a lot of fun. And what's really interesting is there's all this talk about non-cognitive factors that support college and career readiness, right? Mm-hmm. These are all things that coaches work with kids on. Being persistent, having grit, resiliency. I mean, it's pretty amazing that good coaches have been doing these things with kids in athletic programs. And now it's, we're starting to think about in terms of, well, it's not just for athletics. How about inside the classroom as well? So anyway. Okay, so 2 years ago, I spent some time in Africa, in Uganda, in North Uganda, near the South Sudan border, working with a school up there. And so I'm looking at Julie because this was a point of contention with my unit, because they didn't realize I was actually going to do this. So.
He didn't tell anybody he was going to Africa. He just disappeared.
It was legitimate though. I took vacation and for several weeks. And so this was quite a trip because it took 31 hours to get from San Diego and to come into Entebbe. And then it took and then to travel all the way by road. You can only travel during the daylight because you can't travel the roads at night. It's not safe. But it was a great experience in working with this school. I'm not sure if you guys, does anybody, Joseph Coney, does that name sound familiar? From about 5 years ago. He was a militia guy who brought in a militia. He basically abducted kids from families in northern Uganda to fight in his army. Mm-hmm. And so this whole area had just come out of civil war about 4 years ago. So these schools are really important in terms of helping bring it back and develop the leadership of the younger generation. So these are just pictures. This is my friend Tony. The only way you get around there is in the back of a motorcycle or a motorbike. And so I depend on him for the couple weeks I was there, and he showed me everything. He was only like 33 years old, but that's how you get around. Here's some more pictures at the school. This is how they do laundry.
Oh my gosh.
They wash and just put them on the grass. This is actually how they cook food for the kids at the school. So they basically served fish 2 days a week, and then they had a special type of rice meal that they served every day. But there would be a group of ladies who would cook here during the day. You can see more laundry on the ground here, and these are the dorms. This is a high school, but they just started a first grade class, and we're adding a grade per year. And so what's interesting is this is a public school, and it's run by a board of 5 individuals from the community. And they were just starting to build classrooms and dorms on this facility. So it was a great experience. Okay, so this is where I work now, district and school improvement. And you can see that we have a lot very happy colleagues here. So this is a little bit of a unique unit. I'm not sure what this looks like at other county offices, but we have about, I'm going to say, in terms of managers, we have one director, which is Julie. We have a couple of coordinators for special ed and EL. And then right now, we have 11 principals in residence. So these are principals who have been very successful, and they're now in residence with us, and they do the bulk of the work in terms of what we do. So I should probably tell you the District and School Improvement Unit is really focused on kind of 3 big buckets of work. One is leadership development. The second big bucket is district support, district and school support and improvement. And the third bucket is equity and access. And so we rely on principals and residents to really help to do that work. Now we do have a new position that we're hiring for this summer, so if you guys know any high school principals who would be interested in applying and maybe moving to San Diego, the application period is open now. So I believe Riverside has moved towards a principal and residence model too, is that right? Yeah. So anyway, this is a great group. I really enjoy working with them, and I wouldn't be anywhere else in terms of this group and the work that they're doing. It's very high level, it's very collaborative, and I think we have a unique model in what we do in San Diego. Does anybody recognize this guy up here? Yeah, John Hattie. So he posed for a picture. It was a conference up in Hollywood, I think, about a year ago. And then this is a picture of myself and Yolanda, who's a PIR in, I think this is Seattle, right? Yeah. And you guys who have gone to dinner before have probably heard the honey story, right?
No.
So we're not going to talk about it here.
I don't know it.
Okay, so here's, let me just give you an idea of what we do in terms of our buckets, and I gotta speed it up here. So, all together in our leadership pipeline, it's taken us 4 years to develop. We really have this continuum of support from anybody who's looking to become an administrator to experienced principals receiving additional expertise and knowledge to build their practice. And so altogether we have about 400 folks who are in our program from 50 counties, from 7 different, in 50 districts from 7 different counties. And so we do have a prelim administrative credential program, which has about 119 folks in the cohorts right now from 41 different districts. We have a clear credential program. We have 135 administrators that we currently provide monthly coaching for. That's a lot of administrators. And the coaching model is 40 hours per year now, based on, yeah, from 24 different districts and 3 different counties. You guys are familiar with our systems leadership framework, which we shared with you a couple months ago. This is the new version of it. We really decided to look at Singay's work, and he really thinks about that, you know, if you're going to be able to lead others, you got to be able to lead yourself first. And so we kind of added that into our framework, which we believe is very important. And then this is just an example. We use a lot of logic model planning to help districts think about their instructional focus, and then how we collect data around that instructional focus to know whether implementation is occurring or not. So that's just an example of the type of work that we do. Here's some more examples. This is in the second bucket. The second bucket is, again, about district and school support. So, for example, we have something called the LIFT Institute that's really designed for teams of principals and teachers to come and really think about best practices, high leverage practices that they could then take and implement in their school for the next year to really make thinking visible and to make student impact work visible as well. We think it's a great institute. And then some of you are familiar with our Targeted Feedback for Teacher Growth Institute, which we offer throughout the state. And then these are our close partners that we work with. So we have a very close relationship with the Center for Educational Leadership at UW. We're forming a partnership with the Carnegie Foundation around improvement science, and they're going to be doing some work with us down in San Diego. And then, has anybody heard of Deloitte? Mm-hmm. Just north of Dallas, they have a Courageous Principals Institute. And so we're going to be working with them as well in terms of that institute and be able to take a cohort of administrators from San Diego County. So those are folks that we work with on the outside. in terms of helping us support Desert Sisters. Okay, quickly, things Dan likes. Okay. So I love hiking and doing the outdoors, and so this is a picture of Moonstone Beach in Cambria. Nepali coast in Kauai, right? My wife grew up in Hawaii in the early years, and so they used to actually have a place on Kauai, which they don't have anymore, but we go back there quite a bit. This is on Hawaii, and just north of Kapa'a, Dwayne's own a charburger. So if you're ever on the island and you want to stop at a shack, it's like the best hamburger in the world. It really is. This is Morro Bay, right? And then does anybody want to take a guess where this is? So Central Oregon, Deschutes River, Bend, Oregon, Sun River, Black Butte. We go up there quite a bit as well. We have family in Oregon and Washington. So, okay, working with Dan. Okay, so now I have to warn you. This is where I want to do something different, right? As we finish our time, because I had the music, we had the stunts that you did. Kate's presentation was very moving. David's, Maria. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna do something different. I'm just gonna ask a couple people if you would just do a selfie video, right? In terms of what's working with Dan like. So now I'm regretting this because what they sent me yesterday via email is not what I was expecting. So I just want to warn you that when I play this, I think some of the lines, some of the jokes are inside, so you may not get them. But you should get a flavor for it. But when you listen to this, half of it is made up.
It's all true.
So are you ready?
Yes.
So this is the culminating part of the presentation. Any questions before I go on? Are we good?
Take 95.
So what's it like working with Dan? One thing about Dan is he's always on time. Have a meeting with him, time's up, you're out of here.
If you're going to be on Dan's team, you better win. It's death before dishonor.
So Mr. Potato Head, they kind of photoshopped that in. So
No, that's
Dan is a perfect travel agent. He's always accommodating, and he will even take me to Target to get water. Dan, the planning man, always has the next great plan.
Have a question about an iPhone? Have a question about any advanced technology? Ask Dan. Just don't ask to use his phone.
That's good.
Everybody loves Shell Dan.
I was set up for that. They were at Sarah's house.
Oh, set up. That's right.
Dr. Dan Wolfson, he is such a learner, he takes people's books, marks them up, and then puts them back. He makes this thing invisible.
Don't believe it.
That was my book.
So that, yes, and yeah, again, half that stuff just didn't really happen, and I don't know how they got the cat in there, because I was at Sarah's house, and you know, when we did that dinner a couple months ago, and this cat just showed up out of nowhere and just like sat next to me. I don't know why.
And I had on a tuxedo.